Well, hello, hello, hello again, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Spotlight 2020. I am your host, Gayle Nicholson. So good to see you again today. I am so very happy this week to finally be able to bring to you a woman who has stoked my passion and inspired me in just a couple of very short conversations. She's a Feng Shui consultant and she is just absolutely amazing. Let me just introduce you to her because she'll tell you all about it. Welcome to the show, Linda Boney, Feng Shui consultant at Feng Shui Inspirations. I am so happy to talk to you today. How are you?
I'm doing really great. Thank you, Gail, for having me.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Now, we have a mutual friend in Joanne Angelberry Cologne, correct?
Yes,
How,
we do.
how did you come to meet Joanne?
We actually met a few years ago at an expo, wellness expo, and then we kept in touch since then, and we reconnected on Facebook about a few months ago through another mutual friend.
Nice. Isn't that wonderful how that works?
I love it. I love when it works that way. It's so amazing.
Yeah. And she is, wow, as connectors go in the world, she is elite level. I mean, she has
Yes.
connected me with so many amazing guests to interview, and she has helped me personally just keep going in this business. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Joanne. Now,
Thank you.
let's get into Feng Shui and what is possible there, because I know a few stories, which I might get into later on if you'd like, but it can really make or break a space, can't it?
It could potentially do that if it's not done feng shui wise, if it's not done correctly.
Awesome. One of the stories that I've heard before, Renaissance Unity at formerly known as Church of Today in Detroit.
Oh.
They had the beautiful. It was a televised ministry. They had a beautiful dais, right? Very aesthetically pleasing, right? And they had a pattern that was developing that they would hire a married minister and he would divorce. Okay. And then they hired a woman minister who was single and she could not establish a relationship. And she knew about Feng Shui and she brought in a consultant and they analyzed the dais and they said that it is not conducive to relationships.
Wow.
Yeah. So they re-feng shuied it and she moved on to another thing. She didn't want a relationship really, right? But she moved on to other things and they've been able to keep married, senior ministers ever since. So,
Yes.
that's pretty much the extent that I know about how powerful feng shui can be. Now, tell me a little bit about how you found it and what made you decide that this is what you wanted to do.
Well, it was personal experience. I had trouble sleeping, and it wasn't just one night sleeping. I had trouble for years sleeping. I was tossing and turning. I was constantly worried. I couldn't keep a job. I hate to say this, but some people were thinking, oh, you have bad luck going on. You're always having accidents. Things are going on with you. And a friend of mine told me about feng shui, and she said, well, you put these candles in your relationship corner. And I'm thinking, what is feng shui? I didn't understand that. So I actually went to the library looking for a book. And I always say that feng shui found me because I actually said, oh, I stumbled on a book said, feng shui. And I looked at it. And as soon as I opened it, I closed it shut. Because at that moment, I actually saw what was going on in my life, in my room. I had ill health coming up from the staircase because my bed was right by the door. I was sleeping in the attic, so I had a beam crossing my midsection. So I was constantly having ulcers and stomach issues. I was sleeping opposite the TV set, and the TV was acting as a mirror, the book said. So I'm seeing myself at that time too. I was getting hit from all angles. But what the book said to do is to move my bed away from the door. So I said, okay, I can move some things around the other side and move my bed away from the door. And I slept better. And I noticed the next day I had so much energy when I was walking outside. I'm like, wait, something's going on here. I don't know what I did. But so the door was still hitting the bed, but eventually I did feng shui in my whole room. And eventually I moved out and I got my own apartment. And it actually helped my mother's in our house to sell eventually when we were ready to sell the house as well. So it just took a life of its own. And eventually I became a Feng Shui practitioner because of the tools that it helped me with and improve my life.
That's phenomenal. Now I hear that people say that you've got an especially powerful gift for it. I mean, there's people that learn a skill, and I hear that you have quite the talent for it. How many people have you helped so far?
Oh, I've helped numerous clients. I have lots of clients from New Jersey. I do tri-state, so I travel. Now they've gone into California. Some moved out of state. Some moved back to their own hometown. That's one of my case studies I can discuss in a little bit. So I have a lot of clients.
Awesome.
And also doing lectures as well.
Now, and you're able to do this via Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, correct? Now people can just take their phone and walk you through their house. You don't have to come out and visit them.
I don't have to come out and visit them, and they provide me a floor plan and also pictures. Take lots of pictures from the entryway, what's across the street from them, from the back, from the front, and also doing a mini Zoom. They can do a walkthrough with their camera as well and just send it to me as well. So we can do virtual now since we cannot be able to do any home in-person consultations.
That's awesome. I love that you've been able to pivot and still can do that.
Totally pivot.
Right. That's awesome. Now, for those of us that know even less than I do, and trust me, I don't know much about this. Can you explain specifically what is Feng Shui?
Feng Shui, the word Feng means water and Feng Shui means wind and Shui means water. And it's all about the balance of the elements. Feng Shui is the art of harmonious flow. It's about the energies flowing into a space, into a home, nicely and freely. And if you have a lot of clutter, if there's areas that are being blocked, that the flow is not going to be going very well. And also that kind of shows up in your life. So my interpretation of Feng Shui, as we as individuals are represented in our space, and our space represents and mirrors who we are. So it's almost like when you are what you eat, in Feng Shui, you are where you live.
Nice, nice. That ties in beautifully with something that I've learned a long time ago, in that metaphysically, your house is a reflection of you. Not just, you can
Yes.
directly impact that with energetic flow, but it's hard to explain, but I know you get it. I hope our viewers get it. But it really does. I mean, and when you move into a particular space, it can be welcoming or it can be not so welcoming, and it has nothing to do with ghosts.
No, it doesn't have to do with ghosts. Sometimes we do have something called predecessor chi, that maybe the energies of the previous tenants or occupants of the home, they left that. So there's been potential, I have clients that have had that happen in my studies. So it does happen, but the majority of the time it's the space, it's not that, it's no ghosts.
Awesome.
Just know it's no ghost.
So what's the benefit to learning about it and figuring out, where to put a particular candle, or a particular, like water feature, or a well-placed mirror? What's the benefit of it in the end?
Well, the benefit in the end is that this is also just some simple tools that we use for adjustments. Mostly it's moving your furniture, it's actually changing the color, it's actually changing your attitude and your emotions as well. Feng Shui can help, as it did help my house to sell, my family home to sell. It helped me get a job, and I have been very stable with it. I was in financial institutions for over 20 years. It can help with relationships, improving your relationship, or help you find a mate. I know a story where someone had used a tool or something, a recommendation from one of my classmates that she gave, and she ended up finding her mate that way. So, and I actually got to meet her too a few weeks ago, which was so cool to hear the story.
I can imagine. That's wonderful. Feng Shui for love.
Feng Shui for love.
There's a niche. There's a niche. Awesome. So, I'm going to ask you this question, and I have my own answer to it, but I'm going to ask you outright first. Why should somebody consider hiring somebody else for a Feng Shui consultation?
Reason why is because we're so much in our space that we can't really see our space very well. But I'm coming in with a trained eye, and I can look objectively. I'm not looking to see how messy your house is or how you have your things kept or where you keep the things in your closet. That's not my point, and that's not my intention. My intention is to work for you, what your intentions are. It's almost similar to having your home be your vision board, a lively vision board, a live vision board that functions, that, you know, everything has energy in it. So me coming in, seeing your space and working with you to make your things better in your life, that's why it would be one of the reasons why I would have a consultation and a consultant come visit your home who's trained.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Now, as for my answer, we talked about this a little bit before the show started, and that is there is so much to know about Feng Shui that I'm almost afraid to even try anything on my own because I don't want it to turn bad. So if you have any kind of, or like me, where you're not quite sure what to do, number one reason to hire somebody who's got the training like you that can do exactly what you just said. Come in, objectively assess the space without any sentimentality, like, no, I can't take that picture off my wall. My daughter painted it in the 4th grade. Kind of stuff. That's a real problem for me. I'll be honest.
Oh, no, that's funny.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture, but it is definitely 4th grade art.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So personally, I mean, you've told us how your sleep habits got better. You've told us how your place in the world shifted from moving out of your mother's house and getting your own place, which is no small thing anywhere in New York. Right?
Right.
How else has Feng Shui impacted your life personally?
Personally, it's given me an opportunity to work with wonderful customers and clients. I've been on TV with it. I had my own radio show for about a year on Blog Talk Radio. I've been doing appearances like yours on different shows, and it's been opening me up to a whole world of possibilities that I couldn't even imagine. And learning about it just keeps building and building on itself. And like I said before, meeting wonderful people who became lifelong friends and lifelong associates, because they're just wonderful people. We connected together on this journey.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Now, let's talk a little bit about those case studies that you know you've made some pretty impactful differences for people. What's your favorite story that you can tell me?
My favorite story is about Sarah. She was a massage therapist. And when we met each other, she contacted me. She was looking to increase her wealth. So she actually worked in one of the hotels in Manhattan, and she wasn't working in a storefront, actually. She didn't have a storefront with her name on it. She was actually working in the hotel in one of the offices. And all those doors look the same. Everything looks the same. And she doesn't have her name on it. So it was hard to find her. So that was one of the key things I noticed about that. As soon as I go into a space, as soon as I leave to go to the client's home, I actually go into what's going on with them. I saw key things like brand names just kept popping out at me. Logos kept popping out at me. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. On the directory first, she didn't have her name on the directory, on the office directory. So no one could find her. That was the first thing. And then she even painted on the door her number to make it distinguished from everybody else's number. Second of all, when we got in the office, I noticed that it had blue paint, which she wasn't really crazy about. It was actually the person who worked there before. So going back to the directory, the name that was on there for the office was A Quiet Place. And it was literally a quiet place because she wasn't getting any clients. Feng Shui was so literal. Real quiet. Real quiet. So I made sure she contacted the management company. Very simple. Put her name on the directory. Let her be known. And she put her name twice. So actually she doubled her income by doubling her clientele. So she actually had her name, her own whole name, and her company Tools for Longevity on there, which I thought was awesome that they could put it twice. Then we changed the color of the office to a beautiful green color, bringing in wealth, bringing in healing. It was a nice soft green. I gave her a recommendation to get a nice painting on one of the walls that it's considered the fame wall in Feng Shui, something with expansion, something with depth that she could look at. She acquired a beautiful painting from one of her friends who was an artist. It was a mountain and landscape view with a pathway. And she had her plants. She was a barefoot massage therapist, actually. So she had these racks over her massage table, and she put beautiful plants that hang down, beautiful vines. So the office became her own. And she increased her business. She became a massage therapist with the Cirque du Soleil for several years. And then she went back to her own hometown and created her own brand of Feng Shui of massage products.
That's incredible. Incredible.
So
I mean,
her clients call her Sarah Awesome.
Sarah Awesome. I love it. I mean, that
Mhm.
simplest little things though.
Yeah, simplest of
And
things make
things that they seem so obvious looking back,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm,
Right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
phenomenal. Now, what
Oh, and
other
another thing is we ended up on Fox News Good Day New York after that. Yes. So she was when I was featured with her.
awesome. So now, can you give me an idea of where her monthly income went when she was in a quiet place, to where she was after all of the transition? And
She really didn't discuss that with me, but
Mhm.
she definitely explained that it was double the clients. So I'm sure it was much more than what she was making. And
That's,
she had a higher clientele as well in different places where I
yeah,
hired
I
her.
imagine if you're on contract with Cirque du Soleil, you've got a
Yeah, she
decent
really,
hourly rate.
yes, I'm sure she did really well. I was so excited when she told me that. I'm like, whoa, I mean, that's huge. That really is
Yeah,
huge to work with such a high company, and definitely sure that they paid her very well.
excellent. What other stories can you tell us? Maybe in a different area besides wealth, or what else you got?
Well, one of my other clients, her name is Flora. She was a photographer, and she wasn't really also getting clients as well. She wasn't really happy with her space, and she was very resistant to making the changes. One of the things was she was not in the command position with her desk, so she was actually facing the wall. And I explained to her the reason why. She's not seeing what's coming behind her. She's not seeing the opportunities that are coming if you have your back facing the wall. So it's important to have a mirror if you cannot move your desk at all. And that was more of her workspace, but she really wanted that there. So she actually had a dining table that was diagonally across from that location in the foyer area. And she sat there and she just loved it. She could see her apartment was beautiful. She was in downtown Brooklyn. She had light coming in there. She could see her plants. She could see everything. And her attitude and her everything changed just by shifting where she sat. So she still kept her other desk as a workstation, but the other desk became where she worked on her laptop over by the other desk and the table. She also had to move her bed from her bedroom from one wall to the other. Whatever reason, this was like it was a former shoe factory. So all the boiler and the hot water heaters and everything was right in the bedroom itself, and she was sleeping next to it. She also had trouble sleeping as well. So we had to move her away from the bedroom because that's also a danger that to her and her health and her nervous system and everything. So she was very resistant to it. She said, oh, you know, and the Feng Shui master told me the same thing, but I don't want to do that. I said, but if you're still having the same issues going on in your life, just take a look, just try it out. And that's the whole thing I said with people with Feng Shui, just try it out, see how it goes. She moved her bed to the other side of the wall. And she actually had a beautiful tapestry on the other side of the wall that she was on behind her. She was able to see that every morning when she woke up. So it was really good for her that way. Her kitchen also had a couple of blocks, so we opened up the space. She had a very narrow passageway coming into the house. We put mirrors along the wall to open up the space. So we did just, again, simple tweaks, simple product things, but no things, major thing is to move a bed or to move a sofa, move a furniture. And also, we didn't have to do too much color changes because she had beautiful color in her apartment. So it was more so the location of where she was so she could be in command in her business. And she also increased her business and also was able to move back to London to be with her love.
Oh my goodness.
That opened her relationships as well. It made him more
Yeah,
solidified because he didn't know what he wanted to do, if he wanted to stay in the relationship, because he was in London and she was in New York, long distance, but, that also improved as well.
that's phenomenal. Absolutely incredible. And it's interesting that, aside from that story, we tend to want a certain thing in our lives,
Yes.
but we're afraid to take the actions to get that thing because then things will change and it's no longer familiar. But
Exactly.
those sound like absolutely happy changes to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good for her. Good
Yes.
for
I'm
her.
so happy for her.
Right. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions about my own space?
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. I'll try and do my best since I don't have a floor plan or actually, pictures in front of me, but I could, if you describe it pretty well, I could. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so when my front door faces due south, and as you come into the house, the door itself is kind of set back, so the kitchen is actually closer to the road than the door is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so is the garage,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh,
And
okay.
pretty much it's an open great room until you go out the two French doors to my back patio. and the patio is included in the front, like it's shaded by the frame of the house.
Yes.
So would I include that patio as part of my floor plan when I'm considering my house, not necessarily my house and yard?
No, even though if it's covered, if it's covered and it's a part of part of your property, part of the house, I would say yes. But if it's not, I would say no, even if it's covered, because it's really considered more of an outside.
Okay.
I would
Okay,
just
so like
consider
if I had screened walls or something, it would be part of the house. Since I don't, and it's just
right,
a platform
exactly.
over top,
Platform,
it's not.
exactly, right.
Okay. Then that makes the inside area in front of that door my wealth center of my house, correct?
Yes, that would be it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's probably a problem if I've got a Chase lounge diagonally angled in the way of that door and I have to go around the lounge to get out.
Oh, if you have to go around anything, that's considering an obstruction.
That's what I'm trying to get at here, because I think I've got the door barred, so to speak. Okay, so now how would I be able to fix that? Just moving that Chase to a different area of the living room? There's not a whole lot that I can do really in that space.
If it's a small space. Yes, I would have to really see a picture to really get more of an idea of where you can actually put it against which wall and which place. You can actually maybe have it more in the center, see where it would flow the best.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, then as far as my office is a converted bedroom. So I have, you can see behind me, I've got a window that goes out to the pathway that we use to go to the garbage cans, and bookcases. In front of me that you can't see, I have floor to ceiling mirrored closet doors. So literally I'm like, I can look at myself in the mirrors from where I sit. Now, is that going to be detrimental to me to have this full-on mirror in front of me? Should I switch my desk to look at a blank wall?
No, that looks fine. You're fine where you are.
Okay.
I believe you're fine where you are. I'm feeling, Now, if you were sleeping that way and you're facing that way, it would be a different story. But you're in your office only for really work. So that's what I would say.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but if you're sleeping, that's a good example. If someone has that same situation where the walls they have mirrored closets, putting a curtain or something at night, because you don't want to be disturbed when you wake up, you're traveling, as you're dreaming, and you don't want to be startled at night. So that creates a lot of energy, because mirrors do hold a lot of energy. Then I would cover it up at night. But in your case, if you have it in the office, I wouldn't worry about it too.
That's excellent. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much, because our guest bedroom has the same setup, but it crosswises the bed, this mirror. So that's a good idea for me to make sure that my guests sleep and don't get up with the sun. No problem doing the whole pancakes and coffee thing on my terms.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. So what are your top 3-5 tips that people can just take a look at their space and go, maybe if I do this, this might help?
One would definitely be where your bed placement is, because the bedroom is the most important place in Feng Shui in the home. If you don't want to you want to see the door, you want to see the door, but you don't want to be facing the doorway, because that creates, again, a lot of energy coming towards you. If you cannot do that, put a mirror or something reflective opposite your bed. Where I'm sitting right now, I'm actually facing the wall, but I have a mirror right next to me that I can see the door, so I can see what's coming in, see the opportunities, and I don't get startled as a result. Same thing with a desk. You can do that as well. Or have a beautiful picture, in front of you, something that makes you happy and makes you not just so that way you don't feel like you're walking up, you're facing up against a wall, so to speak. And also for your stove. Now, the stove is a tricky thing. We can't move where our stove is unless we're renovating our place. So putting a mirror over the stove, which actually increases the burners, but most importantly, it's protected because you'll see again who's behind you. When you're cooking, you want to make sure you're cooking with love, you're cooking with happiness, because you're cooking to nourishing your own body as well as your family. So you don't want to be startled, and that energy goes into your food. And also, like I said, increasing the burners increases prosperity as well. And make sure they're all working. And make sure, when we first moved to this house, we had to buy a new stove because the burners weren't working. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. We want our money to keep flowing in, so it's fine. And actually, that was in the relationship corner. And I don't want anything to happen this very, nothing will have major happen, but just saying, I want to start off us on the right foot in the new home. So that's the best thing to do. For other cures at your work, make sure you maybe have a high, or even in your office, have a high, like you have a high back chair, Gayle. So that's really good. I would suggest putting a red cloth or red scarf or red jacket. I have my Chinese red jacket behind mine, since I don't have a high back chair, to give you authority, to make you feel more supported in the back. The back is always very important for being supported. And also, if you can't do that, again, it's either you can't get a high back chair, using a cloak, using a scarf, or using a jacket is good.
Awesome stuff. I love that. Anything else?
And making sure your front door is visible from the outside, not visible from the outside, making sure whatever's in your front door, you're opening your door without being blocked. A lot of us like to keep things behind the doors. And that's not very good, because you want the door to open wide. You want to open opportunities. You want to have it's called a main tang, a bright hall. Make sure you have a light that's bright when you walk in. You don't want to walk into a dark place, because again, that's just creating that energy of the darkness, and that's making you feel, tired, or, not anxious, not even seeing light or anything. We have have a welcome mat at your doorway, something that's welcoming and inviting. Not only for you, it's not for you only for your guests, for yourself. When you come in, wow, welcome. I feel welcome to my home. Having a good door, very solid. I know there's different Feng Shui consultants say different things about different doors. I usually like a red door, but that may not be what the directions are. I really don't focus on directions, Gayle. I do the 3-door bagua, because it's the bagua that we have where the door is either going into helpful people, career, or knowledge and spirituality. Those are the doors that I use. So sometimes a black door may be a little more elegant than a red door. Or I had another friend, I suggested this, and she was a wellness consultant. She changed her door purple. And that is mostly important, is what you love and happen to have it in your space. I loved it. She used the door purple, and it was great, because that's what she was attracted to, and that's what she loves. So that worked out for her. That was fine that she did that. I wasn't going to tell her, oh, you did the wrong thing because you didn't have your door red. No, not at all. She vibed with it. That's what she went with it. And she did really well with that. So in that short tip.
That's phenomenal stuff. I want to thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
It has been delightful and educational talking to you today, and I absolutely adore your energy. I want to invite all of our audience to reach out to you. You are offering quite a bit, actually, even in comparison to many of my other guests. So I'm very much grateful for that, and I encourage all of the people that are watching this, whether live or on the replay, reach out to Linda, and she is offering a free 3-day jumpstart challenge, as well as a free 30-minute consultation. So reach out to Linda on email or Facebook, and schedule your consultation and get signed up for that challenge, because I know that it's going to be very valuable if you have half a mind to making your environment work for you, so you don't have to work as hard.
That's it. That's exactly that was it in a nutshell. That's exactly it.
Awesome. Exactly. Thank you again, Linda, and you have a fantastic week.
You too. Thank you.
When you open yourself up to actual energy work, makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show you how.